our coverage as Canada's Federal Cyber Defense Agency designates India as a cybersecurity threat for the first time. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Elia Batul. In a new report, Canada's Federal Cyber Defense Agency has designated for the first time India as a cybersecurity threat. The agency says despite this, China remains Canada's top national security threat. The findings are based on a biannual national cyber threat assessment released yesterday by the Communication Security Establishment. The findings are stark. India has been actively building a cyber program likely targeting the Canadian government to conduct espionage. The Communication Security Establishment warns that with the recent downturn of diplomatic relations between the two countries, India's cyber activity aimed at Canadian citizens and organizations could intensify. The National Cyber Threat Assessment also lists other known state adversaries. These include China, Russia, and North Korea. China continues to lead as the most significant cyber threat. The report says Chinese cyber criminals are compromising over 20 Canadian government networks. Russia, meanwhile, focuses on spreading disinformation to promote its foreign policy and destabilize Western alliances. The report says Iran uses its cyber capabilities to target critics abroad. Finally, the report highlights the rise of hacktivist groups. These groups are geopolitically motivated but not state-backed. A pro-India group, for instance, claimed responsibility for DDoS attacks on Canadian websites following accusations by Trudeau against the Indian government. The Mayor of London City in Ontario and the National Council of Canadian Muslims are speaking out against what they call a hate-motivated attack on a Muslim family at a downtown park. London police says a man who was with his family near King and Thames Street on Saturday afternoon was confronted by an unknown man. The suspect made derogatory comments and then assaulted the victim. The victim sustained minor injuries but did not require medical attention. Authorities have confirmed that the incident is being treated as hate-motivated and is now under investigation. The National Council of Canadian Muslims have expressed their shock and sadness on social media. The group says there is an increase in Islamophobic attacks in London over the past year. Mayor Josh Morgan condemns the incident. Morgan says Islamophobia has absolutely no home in London or anywhere else. The suspect is being described as a white man around 40 years old. He was last seen wearing a black toque, black jacket, dark jeans, and light-colored sneakers. He left the scene on a blue e-bike. Anyone with information about the incident is urged to contact London Police or Crime Stoppers. The National Council of Canadian Muslims is urging the city to reconsider plans to remove a welcome sign from City Hall. The sign has drawn controversy over its depiction of a woman in hijab. The group has expressed disappointment with the city's decision, calling it a misstep. Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante announced on Sunday that the sign would be taken down to maintain secular values. The artwork, designed as a pencil sketch, welcomes visitors with a message above the figures reading, "Welcome to Montreal City Hall," in French. Stephen Brown, CEO of National Council of Canadian Muslims, says the image is not intended to represent any religious group, but rather the diversity of Montrealers. Brown says the discomfort of a few alone should not dictate city policy. He says in 21st century Canada, we don't remove people from society because of how they look. Secular and women's rights groups have argued that the image promotes religion in public spaces. Brown argues removing it over secularism concerns sets a dangerous precedent. Mayor Plante clarified yesterday the sign is part of a rotating exhibit and would eventually have been replaced. She says Montreal is a city for everyone, and she does not want anyone to feel erased. Plante says everyone has their place here. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police is set to reveal details about what it describes as Canada's largest and most sophisticated drug superlab. Authorities suspect that an international organized crime group was operating the lab to manufacture fentanyl and methamphetamine for distribution within Canada and abroad. In a statement released today, RCMP describes the seizure as unprecedented. It says investigators confiscated a record amount of drugs, precursor chemicals, and firearms from the site. Specifics about the lab's location and any arrests have not been included in the release. The news follows an August operation where 5 men were charged after police dismantled a super lab in Metro Vancouver. The lab was described by police as an economic-driven synthetic drug lab capable of producing multi-kilogram batches of MDMA per cycle. The Washington Post reports the Biden administration has yet to respond to reports alleging that the U.S. supplied weapons have caused civilian harm in Gaza. The Biden administration has received nearly 500 reports. The State Department's Civilian Harm Incident Response Guidance issued last year mandates investigations be completed within 2 months. Despite this, none of the reported cases have reached the action stage. The backlog, according to sources, is due to awaiting input from the Israeli government. The reports are compiled from U.S. agencies, international organizations, and media sources. They include photographic evidence of the U.S.-made bomb fragments found at sites where civilians, including children, were killed. Human rights advocates argued that some incidents documented may represent potential violations of U.S. and international laws. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller has confirmed that the U.S. is reviewing these reports. Miller has declined to provide details on ongoing reviews. In a surge of violence, the Israeli army has launched strikes that killed 6 Lebanese medics and injured 4 others. Hezbollah has fired rockets into northern Israel, leaving 7 civilians dead. The day marks one of the deadliest since Israel's military advanced into southern Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning that Israeli forces are capable of targeting Iran anywhere. Netanyahu says Israel's supreme goal is to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. In northern Gaza, Israel's ground invasion has intensified. Officials from Kamal Adwan Hospital says they are unable to cope with the continuous influx of wounded Palestinians. The death toll in Gaza is at least 43,204. 100,000 civilians have been injured. In Lebanon, casualties from Israeli strikes have reached 2,865. 12,937 have been injured. The Football Association has issued an apology to Muslim footballer Ikra Ismail. The news comes after Ismail was prevented from playing a match this past Sunday due to her choice to wear tracksuit bottoms for religious reasons. Ismail was set to join her team, United Dragons, as a halftime substitute during a Greater London Women's Football League game in the United Kingdom. However, the referee denied her entry onto the field, citing the requirement to wear shorts. In a social media video, Ismail expressed her frustration. Ismail says the Greater London Women's Football League has stopped her from playing because of her religious beliefs. She says she has played in the league for nearly 5 years, traditionally wearing tracksuit bottoms. Ismail says recent regulations now prevent her from participating without compromising her beliefs. The Football Association has since confirmed that Ismail and others in similar situations will be permitted to wear appropriate clothing that respects religious practices. A spokesperson for the organization says guidance has been shared with officials earlier this year to ensure faith-based clothing choices are respected at women's grassroots football. Ismail has previously advocated for diversity and inclusion in football. She says barriers like this contribute to the lack of diversity in women's football. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.